Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing? It's me, Mr. 4K Upscaler. What you're watching right now, what you're seeing here, it's The Dark Knight, the IMAX version of The Dark Knight. Uh, this is one of the Ultimate Editions that I have, the trilogy signed by Mr. Nolan himself, and I'm running 4K player M9500, Samsung M9500, and this is upscaled. This 4K player has the upscaling abilities. This is upscaled onto my OLED TV. I just want to show you a few stills. I wish that I could show you the moving picture, but if I show you the moving pictures, Warner Brothers will just kill me, man. They don't take kindly, especially for a movie like this, The Dark Knight. They go straight for the kill. This is one of their trademark movies. The Dark Knight made billions of dollars. It's to this day, it's still considered one of the highly ranked movies, right next to Saving Private Ryan and Gladiator. But anyway, let me show you some more stills. It really looks fantastic on OLED. The colors pop out, especially this movie because it's filmed in the dark scenes in Chicago. And let me show you a couple of more stills, and then I'll show you the calibration that I'm using. Okay, here we go. Here's a one still of a SWAT officer being inside the armored car, and the amount of detail. Look at these deep dark levels here. They just look fantastic, man. And let me use my magic. This is something that to me I was not able to see on my LED TV, but here I get to see it. And for those of you who think this is too dark, well, this is how it would look if you were inside this armored car and all you had was these lights beaming down. That's how it would look. It would be claustrophobic, and that's how it would feel because it is an armored car. All right, so let's move to our next frame. And here's another great example of the IMAX. This is all IMAX shot of downtown Chicago. I mean, it is Gotham, but Nolan used Chicago as a Gotham, which I think pretty much is identical. There's a lot of crime in Chicago, and definitely Gotham is a great resemblance to Chicago, honestly. And you can clearly see the spotlight beaming down here. It's just, the OLED really makes a movie look the way the filmmaker intended it to. And here I am watching a Blu-ray movie upscaled to 4K, and it just looks fantastic. It almost looks as if I am watching a brand new movie. I can't wait for Nolan to release Dolby Vision version of this on a 4K whenever Warner Brothers decides to do that. Let's move to another scene. Here's another great shot right here. This is inside a squad car, Gotham PD, and then they're looking at the fire engine truck that actually caught a fire. How hypothetical, right? Well, that's Joker for you. Fire truck should be on fire. That's Heath Ledger for you, as a matter of fact. Now, he was an excellent man in this fucking movie. Way beyond excellent. So, this really looks great on OLED because this is what you would see if you were inside this car. This is kind of a vibrance you would get from this big burning fire from the truck. You would get this type of reflection inside a car, and this is what the OLED does because it has those deep dark levels and looks fantastic. Keep in mind, this is a Blu-ray. This is a Blu-ray I'm watching being upscaled. Let's go to another scene, another still. And here's another great still right here from the overhead, looking down at the fire truck that's burned out. And there's a couple of things here that I've just noticed. It was just could have been a intentional or not intentional. If you look up here when I'm pointing my magic remote, as you can see right here, it's not a Gotham PD. Here it's a Chicago PD, the blue and white with the blue stripes and white cars, and you can see that they blocked off this street right here, and so they can film this scene right here. So, I mean, look, no one's going to pay attention to that because people will be paying attention to here. But if you really dissect and look at the detail here, you will see that. Here, I can show it to you. Hold on. Let me use my focus mode. Let me show you. You see? I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm going to try to zoom in. You see? There it is right there. You can see it. There's this feature called the focus mode, and you see? There's the PD, the Chicago PD right there. They blocked off that street right there. So let me zoom out. And of course here, this is the Gotham PD, as you can see, for the movie. So there are two different types of cars. But, you know, that's fine. I mean, these things do happen. I'm sure, you know, Christopher Nolan understood that people will be paying attention to here. They're not going to be paying attention to down there. But if you dissect scenes, you can actually see that. Not that it matters. It still makes it more realistic because these guys are approaching here, so it kind of makes sense. All right, so let's move to the next scene. It does have this feature focus live zoom, which you can use. It's kind of cool to examine a scene. So let me take the focus zoom off. Now let me go to some scenes with the Joker. Let's go and show a little bit more of this, and then I'll go with some scenes with the Joker when it flips the truck and all that. And here's just a great example of the OLED and the deep dark levels here. I can show you from each angle, and you will see that this looks unbelievably awesome. My camera is not doing jack shit as to how this looks excellent in OLED. And this is the reason why all the filmmakers are recommending OLED. I mean, honestly, if you are a movie lover and you want to build a movie theater, then you owe it to yourself to go ahead with the OLED. Honestly, it's the best way to see the movie the way it was intended to be seen. And here's another great shot when the truck falls into the river in Chicago. I mean, it's Gotham, but it's Chicago. Anybody who lives in Chicago knows this is a Chicago, or Chicago, whatever you want to pronounce it. Most people pronounce it Chicago. Some people pronounce it Chicago. Depends. But it looks amazing. It really does. This movie looks amazing on the OLED. And here's a great shot of Heath Ledger Joker right here. And the amount of detail you see, like on his three-piece suit and everything. Let me, if I can maybe zoom in a little bit and show you. I mean, this is a Blu-ray that's being upscaled on OLED, and the amount of detail that the OLED really reproduces here with this cinema OLED 3D color, it's just amazing, man. It just... And I'm not even sitting that far away from the TV, and it looks that great. I will show you my calibration at the end. And look at this detail here when Joker's bullet ricochet off of this armored truck right here. You know, it would have been cool if I had Christopher Nolan sitting here right next to me, and then he kind of explains all the detail and everything and how he feels about the OLED. You know, that would be such an honor, man. Imagine if I had him sitting right next to me. That would be a freaking honor, man. Seriously, to have him sit right next to me and kind of go in details step by step about this entire film. All right, so let's move to the next scene. Just look at this scene right here, and look the amount of reflection. Because this is what happens when you got such high rise of warm fireball coming out in this closed space that they're driving under the bridge. This is what happens. The heat and everything, the warmth, the orange pops out, and this is exactly what you would see if you were witnessing this. First, you would feel the warmth of the fire, and then you would see everything orange reflecting. And this is what the OLED does, because it has that deep, dark levels. Just look at the detail here on Heath Ledger, and just how these deep, dark levels are represented here from each angle when you look at this. This looks fantastic, man. Just look at the detail on the Batman here, and the look at these deep dark levels, and look at the light, perfect light, and you can see all the dirt and everything right here. It looks almost as if it's three-dimensional, and this is a Blu-ray, guys. I can't even imagine how this is gonna look on 4K Dolby Vision or HDR. So this looks fantastic on OLED, man. It's like almost like I'm watching a new experience movie. And here's another great example of the deep dark levels here on the OLED. I mean, here's the thing. You don't have to take my word for it, guys. But if you can get a good deal on the OLED, if you can get an OLED, and if you love movies, I'm telling you, you will benefit greatly for the movies. And the sports and the games will look great as well. But look, the input lag is not going to be the best. You know, the latency is going to be not the greatest, but you will benefit fantastically. I like to use words fantastically. You will benefit from the OLED watching movies. All of your movies, Aliens, everything will come to life, man. This is why Ridley Scott was blown away when he was seeing his movies. It's like, well, this is how I intended my movies to be. Principal photography, lighting, everything. This is how he wanted his movies to look. And when he saw OLED, that's what he's seen. Here's another great shot right here. It just looks fantastic, man. Fantastic. Just look at this detail right here when the chopper goes down. I'll show a little clip, just a short, tiny little clip here. And then there's the Joker right there. You get to see all of the bullets that hit the windshield and everything, the detail. I mean, it's almost like I'm watching a brand new movie, honestly. That's what OLED does. Let's just show a little bit here, just a short little clip. There. And just look at this detail right here, man. Let's see, I can watch this from any angle and look great no matter what. When he goes inside a mall with his bat bike, I call it a bat bike. Bet cycle. And it looks amazing, man. Like the reflection of his lights and beams right here. You get to see a reflection down here at the bottom. I can dissect this entire scene, and I can tell you, if I had an hour or 2 hours to just show you why OLED is better than the LED backlit. With LED backlit, you will not see this detail like this. I'm sorry, but you're not going to see it. And of course, the famous scene when the 18-wheeler flips. By the way, they had to remove pretty much all the heavy stuff, the engine and everything. They had to remove everything in order for this truck to flip like this. But it was a bit risky because they had to do this like in the middle of the Chicago street. And but look at that, man. It looks amazing. Let me show you a couple of more stills of the car, of the 18-wheeler flipping really quick. And of course, one of my favorite scenes right here when the Joker is getting out of the flipped 18-wheeler with the submachine gun, and then he starts shooting at the Batman. And of course, my favorite shot right here of Heath Ledger. Obviously, I cannot show you any more than this. I think even this, I'm kind of like slippery slope with Warner Brothers as to what I can actually show. But let me show you my calibrations that I'm using currently. Currently, I'm using a standard. I'm on a standard mode right here, and these are the settings. OLED light, you don't want to bring it too high, because if you bring the OLED light too high, you can burn your organic LEDs. Remember, once you burn them, you jolly well fucked, okay? And you don't want to do that. This is expensive as it is. You don't want to mess up your OLED TV, so always keep it at the 80. Contrast, I always keep it at the 80 as well, because I'm not running a HDR. If I was running HDR, the contrast would be a little bit higher, obviously. Brightness, you don't need to mess around ever with brightness, because you already have the deep dark levels. You don't want to crush your blacks, because you remember you're watching OLED, so keep the brightness at 50. Sharpness, I like to always keep it at 0. That's just my standard rule. Color, here I felt 55 was reasonable for this movie. And then here's the trick. Color temperature, it's at warm 4. If you're going to be watching movies, keep the temperature at the warm 4. Don't keep it at the cold. I have found out at the warm 4, it's a really good balance between both cold and warm. It's not all the way warm. It's like quarter of a warm, and it gives that nice little balance. Now let's go to the advanced controls. Dynamic contrast, you can keep it at medium if you want to, but I would suggest to keep it at low. It's better if you keep it at low. Dynamic color, I kept it at medium, but if you want to, you could keep it at low. It's up to you. But I felt like at medium gives you a little bit more of that pop. Always keep it at wide. Color gamut always goes to the wide, because you want that color to pop. Super resolution, I keep it at low to give me just a little bit of the outline, because I already run sharpness at 0, so super resolution, it's not going to hurt to be a little bit at low. And gamma, you don't really need to mess with this. I keep it at medium, because if I go to the high, then I'm going to crush my blacks. Look what happens. If I go to the high, I just totally crushed my blacks. Because remember, we're running OLED. You don't want to crush your blacks. This is good. You know, this is more than good. Keep it at the medium. You know, so you see, because if I go all the way to the high, then I'm totally going to crush my blacks. So there you have it, guys. If you want to write these things down, you can write them down. OLED 80, contrast 80, brightness 50, sharpness 0, color 55, temperature, color, warm 4, and of course the advanced control, dynamic contrast low, dynamic color medium, color gamut wide, super resolution low, and of course gamma, my mistake, gotta keep it at medium, because you don't want to crush your blacks. And that's pretty much it. So there you have it, guys. Hopefully this helps for those of you who want to watch your Blu-ray collection upscale to 4K and OLED. And let me tell you, your Blu-ray collection will look fantastic on the OLED, especially if you have a nice home theater setup. So there you have it, guys. Hopefully this helps, and hopefully this video doesn't get blocked, so that way you guys can go ahead and enjoy this video. Thank you for watching.